Just get it here for at least $8,000. A lot more if it's in nice shape. And Bennett's non-commissioned sales team is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. Find new roads at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
When you hear this,
they've got him again!
And this,
he scored!
And this,
oh boy, what a move by Embiid!
You think of us. We are sports. 97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Now, live from the Matt Black Kia Studios.
What a move!
Here's Josh Hennig.
Hump Day Wednesday edition of Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM. And don't forget the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Hanging out with you on a Wednesday night. And of course, Wednesdays mean it is Dave Weinberg who joins us each week. Weinberg Wednesday, sports columnist for 97.3 ESPN.com, will join us in less than 20 minutes from now. As always, you can join the conversation at 609-403-0973. That is the text board. Direct messages come in through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. So, let's get down to it. Phillies lose last night. Are you discouraged? What are your takeaways from the game? Also, we have spent a lot of the day talking about the NBA with the draft coming up last night. I got a lot of items to get to here. So we'll get to the Phillies stuff in a little bit, but I want to start with the latest around the NBA. The latest is this. So, according to Shams Charania, there looks like there is a 3-team trade in the works. Now, I know Woj is reporting this as well, but Shams was the first one that I see report about this. And basically the premise of the deal is this is a draft night type of deal where Porzingis would go to Boston. Malcolm Brogdon would go to the Clippers. Marcus Morris and draft compensation would go to the Wizards. And the idea is that the Clippers would trade the number 30th overall pick to the Wizards as part of the 3-team deal. So the idea being that Boston gets another, stretch 4 kind of guy. Frankly, if Porzingis is at least playing 60 games, it's a major deal for them, okay? Brogdon to the Clippers basically eliminates the rumors of Chris Paul going to the Clippers. And Marcus Morris is basically just to make the money work. So this is a huge deal that could be happening. And I think that this is another example of why the 76ers cannot just run it back. You cannot afford to run it back with the current team. And I'm not advocating for any specific trade or deal at this second. So hear me out. What I'm saying is that if the Celtics got Porzingis, and we're to assume the Miami Heat improve their roster somehow, some way, and the Cavs will be another year better, right? We assume the Bucks will still be in the conversation because they have Giannis. We assume that if the Hawks keep most of their team together, they'll be a contender in the East. If the Bulls are healthy in Chicago, they're a contender in the East. So if you bring back a team of Harden, Maxey, PJ Tucker, Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid, every team in the Eastern Conference is either the same as they were last year or has passed you in terms of viability as a championship contender. And I'm looking at this Boston deal getting Porzingis, and I'm thinking, the Sixers almost beat Boston this year in the postseason. They can't beat a team that has a healthy Porzingis out there. Because Porzingis plays both ends of the court. For as much as we can criticize Porzingis for, not being the healthiest guy in the world, the reality is that last year he did play 65 games. And if he can give you 60 games a year and then play in the postseason, he makes you very dangerous. Now, I get that his postseason resume is not great, okay? He only has 10 games in the postseason. He's averaging 16 points a game. But on a team like Boston, he doesn't need to be the 1 or 2 option. He had to be the 2 option in Dallas next to Luka. In Boston, he's asked to be the 3rd or 4th guy, basically. So now if you're the Sixers, you have nobody who can guard him. You have nobody who can deal with him. And this is why it is imperative for the 76ers to make some moves. It is essential for the 76ers to do this. So I think there is a huge part of this conversation, that when you're seeing the news swirling around the league, it's essential you have to upgrade this roster or you will get left behind. I don't want to see the Sixers get left behind. You got to find a way to unload Tobias Harris and get something of significance in return for him. And while I have zero interest in trading Tyrese Maxey, if you have to trade him to get a massive upgrade for this team, I have to at least listen. I have to at least allow that conversation to be had. I don't want to trade Maxey. I don't want to see him leave at all. I like the guy a lot. I think he's a phenomenal player, and he's a guy this town, it just makes sense with his personality and the way he plays. He fits a lot of aspects of what this city wants from a guard. But if the Celtics are getting Porzingis and the Miami Heat get better, if the Knicks get better, can you imagine the Knicks get better and you don't improve your team? You know how embarrassing that is for Sixer fans? Wildly embarrassing. I owe you guys up saying in just a moment, 609-403-0973 on the text board and your DMs in the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. The other news that came down today, Adrian Wojnarowski told Pat McAfee on the Pat McAfee show that right now the Blazers are not taking any calls about Damian Lillard. All right. So it sounds like Lillard is not a legitimate option right now for the Sixers. Now, could that change? Maybe, maybe not. You know, if a guy like James Harden is back in the Sixers uniform next year, you're not acquiring a guy like Lillard. They play the same role on this team. And this is where someone like me looks at a guy like Pascal Siakam. I look at other players who could fit roles on this team that can counter what these other teams are doing, like Boston, like Miami might do, like the Cavs and the Knicks might do, like Atlanta might do. How do we know Atlanta's make a blockbuster deal and get way better? If the Chicago Bulls are ever healthy, they're a playoff team. So you got to do something. And it might not be Lillard. And it's disappointing. I like Lillard a lot. But you might not be able to get him at all. Over on the text board, Joey D chimes in. We're talking about Maxey during the sports bash. He says Maxey is not a top 10 player. However, he is a dog. He's young, and he's a budding star playing both ends of the floor. Lillard and only a select few players I trade him for. especially with Nick Nurse coming in now. It's Joey D and Mentor. Joey D, I think the Nick Nurse part is the biggest what if in all of this, because you saw what Nurse did. He guided Siakam to being an all-star player. He guided Fred VanVleet to be a better player than most people expected him to be. OG Anunoby, Chris Broussard, Precious Achua. I mean, these are all guys who are nobodies before Nick Nurse got a hold of them. Gary Trent Jr., he became a big trade commodity, basically, for Toronto. So a lot of that development is because of Nick Nurse. So what happens if Nick Nurse gets a hold of Maxey? And that is the big question when it comes to Maxey. That is the biggest, to me, at least, a deterrent why I wouldn't want to trade him. Cole from LBI chimes in on the text board. He says, okay, Cole's got a lot of texts. And Cole, I can't read your manifesto here. I'm not going to be able to get to everything you said, okay? But I will get to the latest part of what you said at the bottom here, which says the NBA cap situation is so complicated. So I know this is not possible, even though the Suns have Booker, Durant, and Beal. But I would move on from Harden, trade Harris for the best guard or shooting guard that can play the wing and knock down threes, and fill the team with 3-and-D players and rebounders. Then if Chris Paul is down to be a role player, get him the hand of the ball when Maxey doesn't. Maybe can help Maxey develop into a better point guard. That's from Cole from LBI. So here's the thing, Cole. So here's the reason why not signing Harden hurts the Sixers. Because Harden signing a max contract is contract space that is already set aside. If you let him walk, you only have another extra $8 million. The reason that is because of the way the CBA works. You have extra money available to re-sign your own players, but you don't have extra money to re-sign free agents. The league has a system that incentivizes players to stay with their current team to get the maximum amount of money because they can't find that money in the free agent market. That's why the Sixers could re-sign Harden for more money, but they don't have all that money available for free agents, which is why a lot of people, people like Bobby Marks, people like Keith Smith. Keith Smith covers the NBA for Spot Track. Bobby Marks worked in the NBA front office. Two guys who know the caps of NBA teams and how the dynamics work. They say, look, if Harden leaves and you could do a sign and trade, that would be the ideal situation. So that's why that situation is the way it is. The reason why they could make the Booker, Durant, Beal tandem work is because the Chris Paul contract combined with Landry Shamet, that combination of money was large enough going into the 2023-2024 season to make the deal work. You have to be within, I believe it's 120% of the values of the contracts in order to make a trade. That's why that deal was able to work. The problem is the Suns have almost no money to spend on anybody else. Like what's going on with Bruce Brown. Bruce Brown is going to leave the Denver Nuggets because the Denver Nuggets, he had a player option for about $6 million. He's opting out of it. And the Nuggets probably don't have any more than maybe $8 to $10 million to use to sign him with for this upcoming season. So I think that's a huge reason why this is going the way it is. Now you mentioned about Chris Paul. Paul is going to be an interesting test case in how players view themselves moving into the future. To me, I look at Chris Paul and I say, is he willing to be to the 76ers what Gary Payton was for the Miami Heat? Remember, Gary Payton was a Hall of Fame player who lost to Michael Jordan in the NBA Finals in '96 with the Seattle Supersonics. Yes, kids, if you are too young to know this, the Supersonics had a team for many, many, many years. And Gary Payton was one of their best players all time. Gary Payton tried to win a ring with the Lakers, didn't work out. He ended up in Miami for the last 2 years of his career. And at age 37, 38, he was nowhere near as impactful as a player as Chris Paul has been recently, okay? You know, Payton was much more of a durable player for his career than Chris Paul has been in his career. Chris Paul is a much better scorer than Gary Payton is at this point in his career than Payton was. So I know it's harder for Paul to rationalize this, but is he willing to go to a team to win a championship and say, I'm willing to take less money to be a winner? That's the question with Chris Paul. All right, Jeff and Ocean City will get to your guys' text and more coming up. Still to come here on Game Night 97.3 ESPN FM. Don't forget the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle, where you can find the latest extra point columns from Dave Weinberg at 97.3 ESPN.com. He joins me next for a Weinberg Wednesday here on 97.3 ESPN.
With the 7th pick, the Denver Nuggets select Jamal Murray.
With the 41st pick, the Denver Nuggets select Nikola Jokic.
Who's next?
The number 1 pick in the 2023 NBA draft goes to the San Antonio Spurs.
The 2023 NBA Draft. Coverage begins tomorrow at 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN.
The NBA Draft, exclusively on 97.3 ESPN FM.
Hey, it's Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow exploring exciting destinations throughout New Jersey, sponsored by the New Jersey Division of Travel and Tourism. In Hamilton, immersive modern art beautifully blends with the natural environment. Grounds for Sculpture features over 270 sculptures, from massive to delicate, from realistic to abstract. You do not need to be an art lover to enjoy and appreciate this unique walk-around attraction. Oh, and Rat's Restaurant, truly world-class. Find your perfect New Jersey getaway with ideas and a free travel guide at visitnj.org.
When you open your hopper, you don't fill it with just any hardwood pellets, right? You fill it with Kingsford 100% hardwood blend pellets. Made right here in the USA with North American ingredients and a 100% natural hardwood blend, Kingsford pellets can be used on any pellet grill and add delicious smoky flavor to any meal. Kingsford's the name you trust for the low and slow cooking you crave. So look for Kingsford 100% hardwood blend pellets. Kingsford.com.
If you're hiring, it can feel like trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. Like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Now try ZipRecruiter free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/FREE.
O'Reilly. Win the battle against rust and corrosion with PB Blaster at O'Reilly Auto Parts. PB Blaster quickly busts loose rusted, corroded, or frozen parts. PB Blaster is great for everything from bolts to frozen locks. Right now, pick up an 11-ounce bottle of PB Blaster for just $6.99, plus get 2 times O Rewards points. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts or O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Switch to Boost Mobile and get the ultra-smooth, ultra-powerful iPhone 11 for $49.99.
He didn't stutter.
See every angle with dual cameras.
Make it a double.
All on America's largest 5G networks.
Large and in charge, baby.
Get with the power of Boost and get the iPhone 11 for $49.99.
That's half a Benjamin.
Boost Mobile.
Unleash your power.
ID verification required. New customers only at 1 per line. Additional restrictions apply. See boostmobile.com for details.
With no fees or minimums and no overdraft fees, banking with Capital One is the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Even easier than choosing Slash to be in your band.
Next up for lead guitar. You're in.
Cool. Yep, even easier than that. With no fees or minimums and no overdraft fees, is it even a decision? That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One NA member FDIC.
Save thousands at Matt Blatt Kia. Get out of your old trade today, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Go to MattBlattKiaNJ.com for more details. That's MattBlattKiaNJ.com.
It's got to be a
Matt Blatt Kia.
You're listening to Night with Josh Hennig.
We'll get to more of your texts in just a bit at 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank is TIL. Jeff in Ocean City, Andrew in Summers Point. I see you guys chiming in with you guys a little bit later in the hour. Before we get to Dave Weinberg, this week's Weinberg Wednesday here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN, I just want to finish one point on the Sixers, and that is, when you're talking about all these conversations, at the end of the day, when it comes to sports, fans got to make a decision. Is it about winning now, or is it about, building to eventually win? And I think that unless you're a team like football, it's hard. It's hard to turn things around in quickly split. I mean, Doug Peterson goes down to Jacksonville, all of a sudden they're a playoff team. That doesn't happen in almost any other sport. In every other sport, baseball, you have no idea the prospect's going to work out. In hockey, you never see a guy for like 5 years after he's drafted. And in basketball, you could have Dominique Wilkins and Charles Barkley and win nothing. It's crazy. So, a lot of this stuff, I always ask fans, what do you really want? Talk more sports as we do each week. Dave Weinberg joins us for a Weinberg Wednesday extra point columns over at 97.3 ESPN.com. Dave, welcome back in. How you doing today?
I'm doing well, Josh. How are you?
Doing pretty good. So I want to get into the Phillies up top here with you because obviously last night was disappointing for a lot of people. I believe they went 1 for 10 or 1 for 12 with runners in scoring position. But this is the same Phillies team that's averaged over 6 runs per game against the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks recently. So for you, Dave, was last night an anomaly, or was last night an example of who the Phillies are?
I think it's just an example that the Braves are a better baseball team. The Phillies have had a really good run here as of late, until last night, of course. And I'm not really sure like what kind of team they are. Even though they put together like 6 straight wins or 7 straight wins, whatever it was, and then
11 out of 13.
Yeah. I mean, they had a really good streak there, and against some good teams, some bad teams. So you can't really like fault the quality of competition. Diamondbacks are in like first place, I think, in the West, and Dodgers are right there. And but they're not as good as the Braves. And the Braves have probably won like if the Phillies were 11 of 13, and the Braves were probably 12 of 13. I don't know. They're just a machine, and that's no slam on the Phillies necessarily. I just don't think they're. I mean, they're good, but they're not as good as the Braves are or some other teams, I guess.
But weren't we not saying the same thing at this point last year? Were we also not saying that the Phillies are not as good as these teams, but yet they got into the postseason and they proved they were good enough? So, how much of a measuring stick is, for lack of a better term, a Tuesday in June?
That's true. That's a good point, Josh. Yeah, I mean, they very well could get back in. I don't think they're winning the division, but they're in contention in the wild card again. And if they put things together, I guess they could probably they definitely can get into the postseason. I don't envision the same kind of run. I think that I don't want to say fluke, but that was just like all the stars aligning last year, and it's really tough to do that 2 years in a row.
When you think about baseball, because baseball is such a long season, like you can't get too hung up on any particular game and make a grandiose statement, because things can change at the trade deadline, guys can get injured. I mean, we live in a world, Dave, where Luis Urias is trying to bat 400 for the season down in Miami with the Marlins.
That's amazing. Yep.
And he has scored almost 20 less runs this year than Kyle Schwarber, who can't even bat 200. So, I mean, baseball is a weird sport. Like you can't get too heavy one way into the other. So I think the larger question is, Dave, you said you don't think they can fully replicate what they did last year. What do you think the potential is for this Phillies team?
But I mean, the potential is there. They certainly, like they're capable of doing it. I mean, I think they have the ingredients to do it. It's tough to put like a set number on wins or how far they're going to go because, as you said, baseball is such a quirky game. You can never, unless you're like the Oakland A's are going to stink. But other than that, it's not. It's really strange to predict. I just don't think they have I don't think they have the pitching to do it. You would think they have the hitting, although that's been kind of inconsistent too. I'll say I think they'll get back. I think they'll get back to the playoffs, but I think they'll lose in the wild card round, I guess.
Well, that'd be disappointing in the wild card round. You gotta get at least to the divisional round, in my opinion. If you're the team that's defending National League champions, you can't get out of the best of 3 wild card. Like, don't you think?
Yeah. I mean, they certainly can. I just don't know if they will. But yeah. Okay,
that would be
maybe I'm
the
equivalent a little bit. Yeah.
The equivalent is if the Eagles get to the postseason this year and they lose in the wild card. Like, that's incredibly disappointing.
True. Yeah. I don't think the Eagles aren't getting back to the Super Bowl either. I don't think. I mean, there's just so much. Football's kind of different, though. I mean, if you have the horses, barring injuries, you pretty much know what you have. I shouldn't say the Eagles definitely won't go there because they do have the lineup on paper to certainly make a pretty big deep playoff run again, and Vegas evidently agrees because they're number 2 favorites, I guess, behind the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. I don't. Does Vegas put out like updated favorite things for the World Series and stuff? The Phillies even in the conversation, or probably not?
I'll get you the latest odds here. Just give me a moment here. But I would say that I would.
Oh, sorry.
The point with the Eagles is, I mean, I would assume that the Eagles have a better shot at getting back to the Super Bowl than the Phillies do the World Series.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no question about it. Yep. Yeah, you're right there. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not because I'm necessarily hating on the Phillies. I mean, I'm pulling up the odds momentarily here, but my inclination would be that there's so many things that can go wrong for a baseball team.
Sure. Yep.
Like for example, how do the Phillies hit so well against the Braves and the Padres, but yet they get to the World Series and they strike out 71 times? Like, baseball is a strange bird. By the way, the Phillies have, they have the 5th best odds to win the National League right now.
Okay, so that puts them at the 2nd wild card, I guess, right?
That would put them in the 2nd wild card. Right now, the favorites to win the National League are the Braves, the Dodgers, the Giants, and the Padres. Well, 3 teams from the National League West. Then the Phillies, followed by the Diamondbacks. I have no idea why the Brewers are even on this list at all. The Marlins, the Mets, and then why are the Cardinals in those? The Cardinals have the worst record. See, this is why I can't trust odds, Dave. The Cardinals have the worst. The Cardinals have the worst record in the National League Central, but yet they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have the 8th best odds to win the National League. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, that makes no sense at all. You're right. And the Mets don't belong there either, I don't think.
This website needs to change their odds. This is embarrassing. I'm gonna check another website now. I can't believe for 1 minute that the Cardinals are 5th best. See, now I'm already questioning. I thought I went through a reputable sports book there. Apparently, I didn't.
Yeah, that makes no sense at all.
See, now I gotta go. See, now live on the radio, I gotta check another sports book because I don't believe that one. Let's see here. All right, so another site. See, here's the problem. This other site has similar
Wow, what do they see in the Cardinals that no one else does? That's really odd. That's really weird.
I don't understand. Like, shouldn't you update these odds as like the season goes along? Like, why are we keeping with the? All right, well, while I check another site, Dave, because maybe it's just
okay.
You
One more try. It's like, does ESPN power rankings or something? Do they have one of the? I don't know.
You know, ESPN used to update all their sports betting stuff, but apparently they don't always do it either.
Oh, really?
So, all right, we're gonna try one more. All right, I want to win the National League. I want to see. The whole point of this is not even to win the World Series; it's just to win the National League.
This is why I don't bet on baseball.
Let's see here. Well, this site doesn't have the win the National League; it's to win the World Series. Phillies are either, let's say it's plus 2,000 to plus 3,000. The favorite to win the World Series is the Braves at plus 350. So
okay, well, they're pretty far down then. All right.
The World Series favorites are the Braves, the Rays, the Dodgers, the Astros, the Rangers, the Yankees. See, that makes sense. Padres, all right, Blue Jays, Giants. See, this list makes way more sense. Like the Cardinals aren't even on this list, so this is
right. Here we go. That's better.
So if I'm going by the National League team, so it would be the Braves are number one. All right. So many American League. I mean, the American League is so good this year; it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
Padres are 2, Dodgers are 3. So they have Phillies at the 4th best odds.
Okay.
Behind the Phillies are the Diamondbacks, then the Brewers, then the Mets. Well, the Mets and the Marlins have almost the same number, it looks like. So that's kind of believable because the Marlins can't hit for squat. I mean, their offense makes the Phillies look like it's like the 1927 Yankees, for goodness sake. Like their offense has a guy hitting 400 at the top of the lineup, but they can't get anybody batted in. I mean, they're just running on pitching at this point. It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. They're a very strange franchise, boy. Every couple of years, they just seem to put things together. And then I don't know, with nobody ever heard of, and then they'll get to like the World Series or even like win it, and then they'll like dump everybody and trade Stanton and all that, and then like 3 years later, they're right back where they were before. They just have an unbelievable, uncanny ability to find talent and develop it. But then they get rid of it.
Yeah, then they dump it all. It's like, what's the point? It's like, by the way, I checked ESPN. Apparently, there are no futures available for baseball. So thanks for nothing, ESPN.
Oh, okay.
No futures available. I'll text you later to let you know the 2 sports books I logged on to that had horrible.
Okay, yeah, I'd be curious.
You'll get a good laugh out of that. But back to the Phillies. We're talking with Dave Weinberg for a Weinberg Wednesday here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN Extra Point columns over at 97.3 ESPN.com. Dave, I did want to talk a little golf with you because I was so annoyed that Wyndham Clark won the U.S. Open. Like, first of all, is there any more of a rich boy name than naming your child the first name Wyndham? It's like, can you get the child made fun of anymore than naming after a hotel?
Yeah, his brother's Marriott and Holiday Inn, I guess. I don't know. Rich Carlton.
Right.
Rich Carlton's probably his sister. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, first of all, the guy who won the whole thing is, I'm just like, I have zero interest in this guy winning it all. Secondly, it's like, I go to watch the U.S. Open to see, the best in the world go blow for blow, right? You're tuning in, you're staying up to see the end of this thing. It's on the West Coast. It's late at night. And realistically, it felt like there was only one guy who really had a shot at beating Wyndham Clark, and poor Ricky Fowler just drops out of it after, just couldn't hold on. Rory McIlroy did everything he could, but you could tell he just ran out of steam on a couple of those putts. I just felt a little let down. I like to see the best of the best be great. And it's like, and I get like Wyndham Clark. It's like the equivalent of like a Mike Weir winning a major,
I don't know. I respectfully disagree. I don't know. I just that's the magic of the U.S. Open. You never know what's going to happen there. and then all credit goes to him. I mean, he's from what I understand, he's a really likable guy, really down to earth, but and a very talented player. And I agree with you at some point, though. I mean, I have my favorite golfers that I root for. Wyndham Clark is certainly not one of them. I don't even know who he is until Saturday, really. I mean, but yeah, I mean, it's just that's the way the U.S. Open is. I mean, you never know what's going to emerge. I mean, guys can just put together some magical rounds there. And the only thing I was disappointed was the way it unfolded. I didn't think that the LA Country Club kind of put up as much of a fight as some other U.S. Open venues. Usually you're seeing the winner, you're seeing the best in the world, but you kind of feel like vindicated a little bit when you see them shooting an 80 or
right.
77, not 62 twice in the first round. That's just unheard of. And I just don't think it was like I mean, all credit to them. They are the best in the world, and they proved it again. But I just think I would have liked to have seen the set up a little bit tougher for them, just to see if they could, overcome some more adversity than what they had to do.
Yeah, I'm not hating on Wyndham Clark. I mean, he wants to buy me a beer. I'm sure he can afford it. So
yeah, there you go.
I mean, maybe if he buys me, some like dinner or something, I would soften up to him. Just like pay me off. But
there you go. Bribe you a little bit. I got you.
Yeah, bribe you a little bit. I mean, listen, you buy me a good burger, I might speak pretty good of you, but it's like the idea just is for me, Dave. It's like I want to see the names go out there and compete.
Yeah, I know. I got you. And they kind of did. I mean, Scotty Scheffler was there a little bit. He just couldn't make a putt. And
right.
I don't know if I told you, but for the first time in my life, I actually bet online.
How did that go? Yeah, you didn't tell me how it went.
Not well. I didn't bet on Wyndham Clark. That's for sure. But being the rookie or the neophyte that I am, I didn't know that you could bet top. Like I think I told you, I didn't know you could bet top 10, top 5. That kind of thing. I probably should have done that, but I put money on guys to win, and it didn't work out, of course. I mean, my best shot was Xander Schauffele, and he was hanging around for a little while, but he didn't do well on Sunday. And but I took some of the favorites. I think we went over this last week, like John Rahm and guys like that. But they just one of those days they didn't come through like you expect them to. And but yeah, I mean, I don't know that I'll do it again, but maybe I will. I'll see.
I mean, for me, I like the top 5 bet because on Sunday, guess what? Rory hit the top 5 bet. Yeah, it's not as great of odds as winning the whole thing, but at least you're walking away with something worthwhile. You know what I mean? Like, that's for me.
Not a bad point.
To me, I think the top 5 bet in a golf major is probably the easiest way to make sure you actually win something because, like you said, nobody had Wyndham Clark. Not you, not me, not the people on TV, not the betting experts, not the dude at the Golf Channel. Nobody had Wyndham Clark winning. Right. So, I mean,
right.
And like you said, these things happen. It's like, what was it? Dustin Willett? He won the Masters one year. Like, you do get these randos out of nowhere winning, and what happens? It'll be Rory McIlroy or Phil Mickelson. By the way, I was completely wrong about Phil. I mean, I had him finishing in the top 10. He couldn't even make the cut, for goodness sake. I mean, that was a bad job by me.
Oh, no, that happens. I mean, nobody had him finishing second in the Masters, certainly, and he did it. So you never know.
But you had said, Dave, that you thought that Phil would make a run at it. So I mean, you didn't predict him to win, but you thought, you didn't think him being in the top 10 was crazy. So I mean, you saw that.
True. I mean, just because it was Augusta and where it was, I kind of thought he would, yes.
Yeah, I mean, Phil's hearing, Jim Nantz in the background, like we all are, and it gets him excited. So
that's right.
By the way, can I ask you, like, I mean this in all seriousness. Who on earth was broadcasting on NBC? I have no idea who half those people are.
I have no idea either. It was horrendous.
All right, I feel better. I was so confused. I'm like, who are these people and what are they trying to say?
Yeah, and they're like talking on top of each other, just trying to get a point
that's the
across,
worst.
make them sound like they're they're important. Yeah, it was awful. And I don't rag. I don't want to rag on the course either. I mean, I guess it was tough. I don't. It's just like the last tee shot that Wyndham Clark hit. I mean, that looked so far offline, and it wound up in the fairway because the fairway is like as long as an airport, wide as an airport runway. It was just ridiculous to me that they would have a U.S. Open there, and the lack of fans. I mean, it just sucked all the energy and the excitement out of it. As for me, you're used to hearing the roar of the crowd, and you get all pumped when come down the stretch, and you hear like cheers all from far away a little bit if somebody makes a great shot, and there was just no excitement there. I didn't think.
Yeah, I was just let down. That's all. Yeah.
Wyndham
Clark will probably never win another major the rest of his life, but he's got that one win on his resume.
That's true. Yeah,
good for him.
He did it when it counted.
Yeah. I still think he needs to buy you and me a drink as recompense for staying up until 10:30 at night watching him win.
That's true. I won't disagree. I'll take a margarita.
At Dave Weinberg 19 on Twitter, extra point columns over at 973ESPN.com. And Dave joins me every week for Weinberg Wednesdays here on Game Night on 973 ESPN. Dave, always appreciate you jumping on. And I also appreciate the fact that you are tech literate enough to know exactly how to use this platform. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks a lot. Thanks very much as always. I appreciate it also. Talk to you next week.
Talk to you next week. Dave Weinberg here with us on 973 ES. A little inside baseball, Joe. We've been having some technical issues at times here in the building, and getting guests on has been a bit of a challenge because of those technical issues. And some of our guests have been way more flexible and understanding and gracious than some other people. That's all. I'm not gonna name names, but Dave Weinberg and Jeff Mosher and Keith Smith on the Sports Bash, Mike McGarry on the Sports Bash, Adam Kaplan on the Sports Bash, they've all been very gracious in working with us around our technical issues. So I thank all of them for that. It's things that are out of my control, out of Mike Gill's control, and we're still doing our best to give you the best we got here on 973 ESPN, despite the technical issues. All right. More your text coming up on the other side as promised. Andrew in Summers Point. We got Jeff in Ocean City. I think we also have a follow-up from Colin LBI. I'll check it out with all you guys coming up next. Josh Hennig hanging out with you on a Hump Day Wednesday. Ooh, Dan EHT just chimed in right before I hit the break. How about that? Got more to get to. You guys, hear from you. 973 ESPN next.
This weekend on ESPN Radio, interleague rivals go head-to-head in Los Angeles.
Grand slam,
Jose Altuve and the Houston Astros begin a 10-game road trip against Freddie Freeman and the Dodgers.
Freeman driven well out of here.
The Astros and Dodgers. Coverage begins Saturday at 6:30 Eastern and Sunday at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
Listen to Major League Baseball on 97.3 ESPN.
Matt Platt Nissan is now open on the Black Horse Pike in Egg Harbor Township, next to Home Depot. Get out of that old car, truck, or SUV and into a brand new Nissan. The all-new Matt Platt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike in Egg Harbor Township, or visit us online, mattplattnissan.com.
She's moving to Georgia.
Jada's Podiatry Clinic's top nurse quit, leaving her business toes up.
We've got 6 procedures and 3 major surgeries in the next 2 days.
She needs a new RN who can think on their feet.
There's no way I can do all these procedures on my own.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
If you have an IRA or 401k, please listen closely. My name is Jason Hansen. I'm a former CIA officer and New York Times bestselling author. Throughout my career, let's just say I've been in some hairy situations. And I believe right now the biggest threat facing Americans is they need to protect their wealth, which is exactly what I'm doing for my wife and 6 kids. And I believe the ultimate safe haven is physical gold and silver. You can protect your hard-earned retirement assets with a tax-free loophole that allows you to convert your retirement into physical gold and silver. The folks products I use are Advantage Gold, and believe me, I've investigated the heck out of all types of people. Advantage Gold is the nation's highest rated gold company. They have the best process, pricing, and service. If you want to get your free gold and silver investment kit, please contact Advantage Gold right now, and you'll see how easy it is to protect yourself with precious metals. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. 800-900-8000.
Advantage Gold is not an investment advisor or a tax advisor. Consult with your financial advisor before investing.
Call 800-900-8000.
At the Home Depot, we have laundry appliances that just fit. From the space you have, to the features you want, to the savings you need. Like a new GE Profile Ultra-Fast Combo laundry machine that can wash and dry a large load in about 2 hours, without you ever having to transfer the load over. Get special buy savings like the GE Profile Ultra-Fast Combo Laundry Machine, plus an extra $100 off select laundry sets in-store and online at the Home Depot.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The patented key ingredient is something called Testofen, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text ORDER to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text ORDER to 42424. That's ORDER to 4.
Person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. Like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Now try ZipRecruiter free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/FREE.
With GMF financing to qualify buyers excludes Corvette. Everybody knows there's no beating Bennett because we sell new Chevys at true GM supplier employee prices. Unlike the other guys, Bennett doesn't sell at MSRP, and they certainly never sell over MSRP. Because at Bennett, we take pride being known as the only area dealer to sell at the true GM supplier employee price. Plus, Bennett also gives you all the rebates. Not one or the other. Bennett gives you both. There's no beating Bennett. Plus, Bennett's got financing as low as 1.9%. Looking for used? Bennett pays a minimum $8,000 for any trade towards any pre-owned in stock. I know you're thinking Bennett will never give me $8,000 for my old clunker. Try us. Bennett doesn't care if it's all dented and rusty. We don't even care if it runs. Just get it here for at least $8,000. A lot more if it's in nice shape. And Bennett's non-commissioned sales team is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. Find new roads at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Get back to you guys' messages. Love to hear from you guys throughout the hour here, the Power Hour on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Don't forget the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. Check out all of our latest coverage over at 97.3 ESPN.com. You can see the latest info on what former Eagle is bringing a pickleball tournament to Sea Isle City this Saturday. Go get the details over at 97.3 ESPN.com. You get those alerts on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It can alert you when topics that you want to hear about are popping up on our website. Dave Weinberg writes articles on the website as well, 97.3 ESPN.com. All right, over on the text board, I want to get to you guys in the order your messages came in. Jeff in Ocean City chimes in, says, Josh, the Sixers need to tell Harden to get lost, give away Harris, and find some help for Joel Embiid. That's from Jeff in Ocean City. Jeff, the problem is that it looks like Harden's coming back. Houston, I mean, the latest it looks like, if you believe Jake Fisher of Bleacher Report, Jake Fisher reporting that Houston is operating under the presumption that Harden is going back to Philadelphia and not coming. So if that's the case, you're not getting that definition. Harris is getting. I'm willing to bet that Harris is getting traded. I don't know if it's going to happen tomorrow night necessarily, but I believe he's getting traded in some capacity. Like I said, I would call Toronto, see if Toronto would take Harris and Jaden Springer for Siakam and start a conversation and see what they say. That's the thing. Andrew Summers Point chimes in at 609-403-0973. Says, I was surprised that Mike Gill wouldn't give Maxey a chance to get where Lillard is. Maxey doesn't have the chance with the ball going to Embiid as much as he does. And Rivers said after he got fired, the ball didn't go to Embiid enough during the playoffs. Maybe Nurse can make Maxey our next Iverson. Andrew and Summers Point. Well, first of all, Andrew, Maxey will never be Iverson. I'm sorry to let you down. I'm trying to let you down easy, but I gotta be honest with you. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna tell you. You know, we all have that ex who gets mad at us because we told her that she didn't look as good as she thought in that dress. But she gets mad at us and breaks up with us and finds out that everybody else agreed with you and then doesn't talk to you ever again. So hopefully, Andrew, you don't hold that against me. But I gotta be honest with you. Maxey will never be Iverson. Iverson was a once in a generation type of talent. Maxey's not that. If you were to tell me that Maxey could become a Trae Young level type player, if he got more playing time and touches, I think that is believable. But I don't think Maxey could ever be a top 5 player in the NBA. That's who Iverson was. Iverson was a top 5 player in the NBA. Now, it's not that Mike Gill on the Sports Bash doesn't want to give Maxey a chance. It's the idea that how many years will it take to get Maxey to the level that Lillard is at? You know, you go, and this is part of the conversation we were having on the Sports Bash about how, you know, Damian Lillard is a player that was given a lot of latitude, a lot of playing time, a lot of opportunities to sink or swim. I mean, you're talking about a guy in Damian Lillard who has never, I'm double checking this, he's never averaged less than 35 minutes a game his entire career. His entire career. And Lillard didn't even get to 25 points a game until his 4th season in the NBA. And that's with him getting all those minutes and all those touches and all those opportunities that Maxey doesn't get. So, even if you gave Maxey the opportunities, how many years does it take him to get to that level? That's the problem, Andrew Summers' point. And this is where Michael and I do agree. We don't agree on Maxey's potential, but we do agree on this. If the idea is to win a championship now, and you have a chance to massively upgrade your team, and Maxey is the guy who's going to get you there, it is where it is. George at Summers Point chimes in at 609-403-0973. Says, hey, Josh, I'm going to sound like an old timer, but I don't know why they took Ranger out of the game last night when they did and put in the hands of their bullpen. Ranger seemed to have a lot left in the tank when they took him out. And after the bullpen threw gasoline on the Braves' fire, it gets a little frustrating. And it seems to happen in the Phillies bullpen fairly frequently, says Jordan Summers Point. I'd like to hear your opinion. Thanks. Well, George Summers Point, I appreciate you chiming in. I don't think the bullpen gets lit up as much as we think it does. I think that when the bullpen does get lit up, it just seems like it's like way worse than we realize. It gets way more over the top. Last night, you didn't have 3 of your bullpen guys available. The Phillies are trying to keep these guys fresh for the entire season, so that's why I went Jeff Hoffman. I do agree with you. They took Ranger out of the game a little early. I would like to see him go out there for at least the start of the next inning with the idea you tell him, look, we're sending you out there, but if you can't get through the first hitter or two, you're out. You know, let him know that he's getting yanked. And then what happens is that the other team is not comfortable when the bullpen does come in. That's personally what I would have done, George, at Summers Point. But I'm with you on leaving Ranger out there. I would like to see him get more run. Dan EHT chimes in. This is the biggest disappointment of the Phillies season so far. Is definitely Trey Turner. He's about 30% of what I expected. Frankly, I think Trey Turner is disappointed in himself too. If we're being honest, I think Trey Turner has definitely been disappointed. It's tough, man. You know, you saw Castellanos last year not play well. He's hitting way better this year. Castellanos, the Phillies might only get 2 All-Stars, and Castellanos is probably going to be one of them. The way this season is going, it's probably going to be Castellanos and Real Muto are probably going to be your All-Stars this year. Trey Turner has been a gross disappointment. You got to wonder how much of it is mental. I'm Josh Hennig. Have a great night, everybody.